Ladies and gentlemen, in life there will be moments when people try to disrespect you, challenge your dignity, or speak ill of you. But remember, your response matters more than their words. When faced with disrespect, it's important to stay quiet, stand firm in your peace, and trust that God is your defender. In life, there are times when people will try to hurt you with their words, actions, or even attitudes. It might be something said behind your back, an insult thrown in your direction, or an attempt to undermine you in front of others. In those moments, it's easy to feel the urge to fight back, to defend yourself, or to prove them wrong. But what if the most powerful thing you can do is nothing at all? What if your silence speaks louder than anything you could say? Sometimes when we face disrespect or criticism, the most powerful response we can offer is to stay quiet. We live in a world that often encourages us to react to defend our honor, to explain ourselves, to let everyone know that we are not what they say we are. Yet there's something incredibly strong in choosing not to engage with the negativity and simply maintaining your peace and moving forward without giving energy to the conflict. When we respond with silence, we're not admitting weakness. In fact, we're displaying tremendous inner strength. It's not an easy thing to do. The instinct might be to fight back or to set the record straight, but sometimes the best way to respond is by showing that we are above the disrespect being directed at us. When you choose silence, you're making a conscious decision not to allow their words or actions to control your emotions or dictate your behavior. Think about it. When you remain silent in the face of disrespect, you take the power away from the person trying to provoke you. They may expect a reaction from you, whether that's anger, frustration, or a defensive response, but when you refuse to give it to them, you disarm the situation. They might not even know how to handle your silence, as though you've taken away their ammunition and they're left with nothing to shoot at. Silence is a choice. It's not passive. It's not about hiding or retreating in fear. It's an intentional, deliberate act of self-control. It requires confidence in who you are and a deep trust that you don't need to justify your worth to anyone. When you choose to stay quiet, you're telling the world, I don't need to explain myself. I don't need to defend who I am. I know my value and I am secure in that. At times, staying quiet is not just about responding to an individual, but about protecting your peace. When someone tries to drag you into an argument or a confrontation, they're often trying to disturb your calm and disrupt your state of mind. But when you choose silence, you maintain your inner peace. It's almost like a shield you put up around your heart and mind. The world may be loud, the voices of critics and naysayers may be strong, but you don't have to let them break through. Sometimes we mistakenly think that silence is a sign of weakness. We believe that if we don't speak up, we'll be seen as passive, or worse, as if we're allowing others to walk all over us. But silence can actually be one of the most empowering responses we can offer. In silence, you demonstrate patience, understanding, and maturity. You show that you don't need external validation to know your own worth. It's a quiet form of strength, a strength that can't be shaken by the words of others. In some situations, speaking up might not even be the best way to solve the problem. When you engage with someone who is disrespecting you, you're giving that person power over your emotions and your response. It's easy to get caught up in defending yourself, but in doing so, you might escalate the situation. Silence, on the other hand, can diffuse tension and stop the negativity from escalating further. It shifts the focus away from the conflict and back onto yourself, allowing you to maintain control of your emotional state. When you remain silent in the face of disrespect, you're also sending a message to the person who disrespected you. You're showing them that their words or actions don't define you. You're teaching them that you're not someone who can be easily provoked or manipulated. People will learn that you're a person of dignity, someone who doesn't feel the need to stoop to their level. Moreover, silence allows you to observe the situation from a place of clarity. Often in the heat of the moment, our emotions can cloud our judgment. We might say something in anger or frustration that we regret later. By choosing silence, you give yourself the space to breathe, to process, and to respond thoughtfully. It allows you to avoid making rash decisions or saying something that might make the situation worse. It's a form of emotional intelligence that allows you to rise above the moment and maintain your composure. Lastly, silence is not about holding in your feelings or bottling up your emotions. It's not about pretending that the disrespect didn't hurt or that you don't care. It's simply about choosing not to let it control your actions. You acknowledge the pain, but you don't let it dictate your response. You choose peace over chaos, strength over weakness, and dignity over defensiveness. Silence gives you the opportunity to reflect, to pray, to seek wisdom, and to respond in a way that aligns with your values and your purpose. When you choose silence, you are making the powerful decision to let your character speak for you. Your integrity, your composure, your ability to stay calm in the face of adversity, these are the things that truly define who you are. And when you don't engage with disrespect, you let your actions and your strengths speak louder than any words ever could. When you choose to remain silent in the face of disrespect, you're not giving up or surrendering. Rather, you're placing your trust in something far greater than any immediate situation. You're trusting that God will handle your battles for you. Too often we get caught up in the need to defend ourselves, to right every wrong, to stand up and make sure people know how we feel. But there is an incredible power in stepping back and allowing God to step in. When we feel disrespected, it's natural to want to respond. Our emotions can flare, and we might feel the urge to set the record straight, to defend our honor, or to ensure that others see things from our perspective. However, in those moments, we must remember that our ultimate battle is not with people, it's with the forces that try to rob us of our peace, our joy, and our sense of self. The temptation to engage with negativity is always present, but the wisdom lies in knowing when to let go of control and trust that God is working on our behalf. The truth is, there are times when no matter how hard we try, we can't change someone else's behavior. We can't control their actions, their words, or their attitudes, but what we can control is our own response. By choosing silence, we acknowledge that we don't need to fix the situation ourselves. We don't need to force an outcome. God sees what's happening. He knows the injustices, the misunderstandings, and the pain. And He is a just God. He will not let those who hurt you or dishonor you go unnoticed. In His time, He will bring healing, restoration, and even justice where it's needed. It can be difficult to let go of the need to control a situation. We want to be in charge, to steer things in the direction we think is best. But God's ways are higher than our ways. His understanding is beyond our own. He sees the bigger picture, the parts of the story that we cannot yet understand. When we let go of our need to control every detail and trust in Him, we open ourselves up to the possibility of divine intervention. God can work behind the scenes in ways we cannot see or even imagine. Sometimes our silence is a way of making space for God to move in a powerful way that we couldn't have orchestrated on our own. Consider the stories of those who have gone before us, those who faced immense trials and injustices. Think of the biblical figures who were wronged, mistreated, or falsely accused. Joseph, for example, was betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, and thrown into prison under false accusations. Yet throughout all of it, he remained faithful. He didn't take matters into his own hands. He trusted that God had a plan for his life, and eventually God brought him to a position of honor and power, saving nations in the process. Joseph's story shows us that God can take what others meant for harm and turn it into something greater than we could have ever imagined. Similarly, Jesus himself endured unimaginable disrespect and mistreatment. He was ridiculed, falsely accused, and crucified, yet he remained silent in many of the most trying moments. He didn't feel the need to defend himself, for he knew his purpose was bigger than the insults and the pain. He trusted that God would fulfill his purpose through his suffering. His silence was a powerful act of faith in God's plan for redemption. When we stay silent in the face of disrespect, we are practicing the same trust that these fingers demonstrated. We are choosing to believe that God sees what is happening, that he understands the hurt, and that he will work everything for our good in his time. This doesn't mean we're passive or indifferent. It means we're active in our faith, trusting that God's timing and methods are always perfect. Remaining silent when disrespected doesn't mean that we are weak, passive, or afraid. It means that we believe in the power of God to defend us, to vindicate us, and to bring about justice in ways that we might not even comprehend. When we respond with silence, we let go of the need for immediate gratification or resolution, and we place the situation in God's hands. We understand that his way is the best way, even if it doesn't look like what we expected. In choosing silence, we also make room for God to heal us. It's easy to get caught up in the hurt and frustration of the moment, but by stepping back and allowing God to take control, we give him the opportunity to minister to our hearts. We allow him to heal any wounds, to restore our peace, and to remind us of our worth. God's healing is not just about removing pain, but about strengthening us for the journey ahead, giving us the resilience and faith to face future challenges with grace. Furthermore, when we trust that God will fight for us, we're not merely seeking revenge or trying to prove a point. We're seeking peace. We're choosing to rise above the situation and trust that God's justice will prevail. He will make things right in his time, and in the meantime, we are called to focus on living in alignment with his will, knowing that he is our protector and our advocate. By trusting God to handle our battles, we step into a deeper level of faith. We acknowledge that we can't always fix everything on our own, but we serve a God who can. Our silence in the face of disrespect becomes an act of surrender, a way of saying, I trust you, Lord, and I believe you will take care of this. And in that trust, we find peace, strength, and the confidence to keep moving forward without the weight of the battle on our shoulders. In moments of disrespect, when others may try to undermine you or challenge your integrity, it's easy to get caught up in the emotional turbulence that comes with such situations. You feel the sting of their words or actions, and instinctively your mind races toward a response. But it's in those moments that you must remember something incredibly important. Your growth is far more important than getting caught in the drama or negativity that others bring into your life. Choosing silence is not about backing down or ignoring the situation. It's about protecting your growth and your peace. Every challenge, every trial, and yes, even every moment of disrespect is an opportunity for you to grow. And how you respond to these situations will either move you closer to the person you're meant to be or take you further away from your purpose. When you engage in the negativity, when you argue back or allow their words to dictate your emotions, you're letting that situation pull you out of alignment with your highest self. But when you stay quiet, you protect your inner peace, you preserve your dignity, and you allow yourself to keep moving forward on the path of growth that God has set before you. One of the first things to recognize is that growth doesn't come from remaining in the comfort of agreeable situations. If you only ever faced people who treated you kindly and with respect, you would never learn the strength, patience, and resilience that are cultivated when you rise above the negative actions of others. It's easy to be loving and patient when everyone around you is treating you well, but the real test of your character comes when you face disrespect and unkindness. How you respond to that says a lot about who you are and where you are in your personal growth journey. It's important to understand that silence in the face of disrespect is not a sign of weakness. In fact, it requires a level of maturity and self-awareness that not everyone possesses. When you remain calm and composed in the face of disrespect, you're demonstrating your ability to manage your emotions and not let external circumstances control your internal state. This is a sign of growth. It shows that you're not dependent on other people's approval or validation to feel good about yourself. You know your worth, and you refuse to let someone else's negativity define who you are. Choosing silence can be an act of deep self-care. Disrespect, when unchecked, can be toxic. If you engage with it, it often drags you down, consuming your energy and causing you to lose focus on what truly matters, your purpose, your passions, and your relationships with those who uplift and encourage you. Engaging in conflict drains your emotional reserves and holds you back from the joy and fulfillment that come from pursuing your personal and spiritual growth. By choosing silence, you're choosing to preserve that energy for what truly matters. You're not allowing the negativity to seep into your spirit and take root. Moreover, staying quiet and refraining from engaging in disrespectful exchanges creates space for you to reflect and gain clarity. It gives you time to assess the situation with a calm mind, to ask yourself, what is my best course of action here? How can I grow from this? You avoid being swept up in the heat of the moment, and instead you position yourself to respond with wisdom and grace when the time is right. This ability to step back and reflect is one of the key elements of personal growth. It requires self-discipline and emotional intelligence. Instead of reacting impulsively, you create space to act with intentionality and to remain in alignment with the values that you hold dear. Another key aspect of growth is learning to choose your battles wisely. Not every situation requires a fight, and not every disrespectful act warrants a response. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is recognize that not everything needs to be addressed. You don't need to engage with every critic or defend yourself against every insult. By choosing not to respond to disrespect, you're making the conscious decision to invest your time and energy in things that contribute to your growth and well-being. This doesn't mean that you should suppress your feelings or bottle up your emotions. Growth comes from processing those feelings in a healthy way, understanding them, and then learning from them. But it does mean that you don't have to give your power away by engaging in every confrontation that comes your way. By remaining silent, you are protecting your emotional well-being and prioritizing your growth over momentary victories or arguments that ultimately won't contribute to your life's journey. Furthermore, silence in the face of disrespect allows you to keep your peace intact. Inner peace is an essential part of personal growth. When you let the disrespect of others rattle you, it disrupts your peace and disturbs your emotional equilibrium. But when you stay quiet, when you choose not to let their words affect you, you create a sense of inner calm. You understand that your peace is priceless and you will not allow external circumstances to disturb it. This inner peace, cultivated through quiet strength and resilience, is one of the most important aspects of growth. It allows you to move forward with confidence and clarity, regardless of what others may say or do. Finally, when you choose silence after disrespect, you are learning how to detach yourself from the need for validation from others. People will always have opinions, and sometimes those opinions will be disrespectful or unkind. But when you stop seeking approval from others, you free yourself from the shackles of their judgment. You start to build your sense of self-worth on a foundation that is not dependent on the fluctuating opinions of others. You know who you are, and you know your value, which enables you to grow into a more grounded, confident, and resilient person. In the end, your growth is not determined by what others say or do to you, but by how you respond. When you choose silence, you create the space for your character to develop, for your peace to flourish, and for your life to move forward in a way that is aligned with your purpose and your values. Every moment of disrespect becomes an opportunity to strengthen yourself, to stay true to who you are, and to continue your growth journey with grace and wisdom. In life, we often find ourselves in situations where others disrespect us, challenge our character, or undermine our efforts. In those moments, the temptation to defend ourselves or prove a point can feel overwhelming. We may feel that if we don't stand up for ourselves, we will be seen as weak, passive, or someone who can be taken advantage of. But in reality, choosing silence is not about being passive. It is about prioritizing your peace over pride. Protecting your peace is one of the most powerful decisions you can make in the face of disrespect. Peace is not something that just happens. It is something you must actively choose and protect. There will always be people or situations in life that threaten to disturb your inner tranquility, whether it's a harsh comment, a thoughtless action, or someone deliberately trying to provoke you. It's easy to get caught up in the rush of emotions, to feel that you engage, to defend yourself, to stand your ground. But when you let pride take over, you risk losing your peace. And that is far more costly than proving a point or winning an argument. Peace is a gift, and like any gift, it must be treated with care. It is easy to forget the value of peace when we are caught up in the heat of the moment. But if we could step back and see things from a larger perspective, we would understand that no moment of conflict is worth sacrificing our peace. Staying quiet in the face of disrespect allows you to maintain that peace. When you respond in anger, frustration, or defensiveness, you allow someone else to control your emotional state. You give them the power to disturb your peace, to pull you into their negative energy. But when you choose silence, you take that power back. You refuse to let the disrespect of others dictate your emotional state or your actions. It's important to recognize that peace is not the same as passivity. Peace is an active choice. It requires discipline and a commitment to staying true to your values no matter what is happening around you. Choosing to remain silent doesn't mean you are avoiding the situation or ignoring your feelings. It means that you are consciously deciding not to engage in the negativity, not to be dragged down into a battle that serves no purpose other than to escalate the conflict. It means you are protecting your mind, your heart, and your spirit from the toxic energy that others may try to impose on you. In many situations, when you allow your pride to take over and engage in a conflict, the outcome is rarely satisfying. Arguments often escalate, misunderstandings multiply, and the situation becomes more about winning the argument than resolving the issue. However, when you choose silence, you create space for calmness, clarity, and resolution. You stop the cycle of negativity in its tracks. You don't let the disrespectful words or actions of others take root in your heart. Instead, you preserve your peace and allow your thoughts and emotions to settle before making any decisions about how to respond, if at all. When you protect your peace, you are also creating room for personal growth. When you choose not to engage in every conflict, you create emotional space to focus on the things that really matter, your relationships, your goals, and your spiritual journey. Peace of mind allows you to stay focused on what is truly important in life. You stop giving your energy to petty arguments and distractions and instead invest that energy into building a life that reflects your values and purpose. One of the most powerful aspects of protecting your peace is that it allows you to respond from a place of wisdom rather than reaction. When you respond impulsively to disrespect, it's easy to say things you don't mean, to act in ways that you later regret, or to escalate the conflict in a way that does not serve you. But when you take a step back, when you choose silence, you give yourself space to reflect on the situation. You can choose to respond with kindness, wisdom, or not at all. You give yourself the opportunity to make decisions that align with your high self rather than reacting based on emotion. Choosing peace over pride also shows maturity. It shows that you understand the bigger picture. It shows that you are not concerned with proving your worth or defending yourself against every insult. You recognize that your value is not determined by what others say or think about you. It is determined by your character, your integrity, and your faith. In those moments when disrespect arises, silence allows you to remember that your worth is unshaken by the opinions of others. You don't need to fight every battle or argue every point. Your peace, your confidence, and your dignity are enough. Another aspect of choosing peace is that it fosters healthier relationships. When we engage in conflicts and arguments, we can damage relationships, whether with friends, family, colleagues, or even strangers. Arguments often leave lingering resentment, hurt feelings, or damage trust. But when you choose silence, you give others the space to reflect on their actions. You also model maturity and emotional intelligence, showing them that you are not willing to engage in negativity. This can often lead to greater respect from others and a more peaceful environment overall. Additionally, when you prioritize peace over pride, you are able to maintain a clear sense of purpose. You avoid getting sidetracked by unnecessary conflicts that take your attention away from your goals. Life is filled with challenges, and how you handle those challenges is crucial to your success and happiness. If you let pride drive your decisions, you may find yourself entangled in conflicts that waste your time and energy. But if you choose peace, you maintain your focus and move forward with confidence, knowing that the things that truly matter will continue to unfold without the distractions of unnecessary arguments. In the end, peace is a precious gift. When you prioritize it, you create a life that is aligned with your values, your goals, and your purpose. You refuse to let the actions of others disturb your sense of calm, your sense of self, or your emotional well-being. And in doing so, you create a life that is more fulfilling, more focused, and more in line with the person you were meant to become. By choosing peace over pride, you not only protect your emotional health, but also build a stronger, more resilient foundation for the future. One of the most crucial lessons we can learn in life is that our worth is not defined by the opinions or judgments of others. It's easy to let the words of people who disrespect us shape how we see ourselves. In those moments when others try to belittle us, insult us, or undermine our character, it's essential to remember that their opinions have no power to diminish who we truly are. Choosing silence in the face of disrespect is a powerful act of self-awareness. It's a declaration that you will not allow others to dictate your sense of self-worth or your sense of dignity. Too often, we give too much power to the opinions of others. Whether it's criticism from a colleague, a hurtful comment from a friend, or even a judgmental remark from a stranger, we can easily internalize these words and allow them to influence how we feel about ourselves. We might start doubting our abilities, questioning our choices, or feeling less than we are. But in those moments, it's crucial to remind ourselves that our worth is not tied to what others think of us. Our value comes from within, from the strength of our character, our integrity, and the love that we carry in our hearts. When we remain silent in the face of disrespect, we are reaffirming to ourselves that we are not defined by the opinions of others. Remaining silent when disrespected is a profound act of self-respect. By choosing not to respond to negativity, you are demonstrating that you understand your value and you don't need to prove yourself to anyone. You refuse to let someone else's harsh words or misguided judgments define who you are or dictate your actions. In those moments when you could react with anger or frustration, you choose to rise above it. You refuse to stoop to the level of disrespect. This choice not only protects your peace, but also strengthens your sense of self. You know who you are, and you don't need external validation to reinforce that truth. Your silence becomes a shield that protects your inner confidence, reminding you that you are worthy, regardless of the opinions of others. Our worth is also tied to our character, which is far more enduring and significant than the fleeting judgments or misunderstandings of others. People may criticize us, insult us, or say things that hurt us, but none of those things can take away our true essence. When we choose to stay silent in the face of disrespect, we are choosing to remain grounded in our own values and principles. We are not allowing someone else's words to penetrate the core of who we are. Instead, we maintain our integrity and demonstrate that we will not let negativity alter our path or change who we are. Our response is a reflection of our character. And by choosing silence, we show that we are stronger than the words of those who seek to tear us down. Another powerful reason to stay silent in the face of disrespect is that it teaches us to detach ourselves from the need for validation. We live in a world that constantly seeks approval through social media likes, recognition at work, compliments from others, or the affirmation of friends and family. We often look to others to feel good about ourselves. But when we choose to remain silent in the face of disrespect, we are teaching ourselves that we do not need anyone's approval to feel valuable. We are learning that our worth comes from within, and we are not dependent on external sources of validation to confirm who we are. We have nothing to prove. Our dignity is not up for negotiation, and we no longer feel the need to fight for recognition or defend ourselves against every insult. Our worth is inherent, and no disrespectful comment or harsh judgment can change that truth. Remaining silent also allows us to maintain the focus on what truly matters. When we engage with disrespect or negativity, we risk losing sight of our bigger goals and the things that bring us joy and fulfillment. We become distracted by the negativity and waste our energy on a battle that has no lasting significance. But when we choose silence, we maintain our focus on our purpose. We continue to move forward toward the things that are important to us, our personal growth, our relationships, and the pursuit of our dreams. We refuse to let the opinions of others derail us from our path. Instead, we use our energy to fuel our passion and focus on the things that align with our values and aspirations. Silence is also a powerful tool for self-preservation. It's easy to become emotionally drained when we constantly engage with negativity and conflict. Our emotional reserves can quickly be depleted when we find ourselves caught in endless arguments or battles that are not worth fighting. But when we choose silence, we protect our emotional well-being. We don't allow the disrespect of others to take root in our hearts and minds. We prevent their negativity from poisoning our thoughts and affecting our mood. Silence allows us to preserve our energy for the things that matter, for the people who uplift us, and for the pursuits that bring us joy. It is an act of emotional self-care that ensures we do not lose ourselves in the chaos of others' judgments. Finally, by choosing silence, we create space for the truth to come forward. Often when we engage in conflict, the situation becomes clouded by emotions and misunderstandings. Words are exchanged in anger, and the focus shifts from the original issue to personal attacks and hurt feelings. But silence allows clarity to emerge. When we step back and choose not to react, we allow the situation to unfold naturally. The truth has room to breathe, and it becomes easier to see things from a broader perspective. By refusing to engage in the disrespect, we create an environment where healing can occur and the situation can resolve itself in a way that reflects our values and integrity. Our worth is not defined by the disrespect of others. By choosing silence, we protect our sense of self, our peace, and our emotional well-being. We refuse to let the opinions of others diminish our value. Instead, we remain grounded in our identity, secure in who we are, and focused on the things that matter most. In the face of disrespect, there is an incredible power in choosing not to engage, not to respond immediately, and not to give in to the urge to prove yourself right. It might seem counterintuitive at first, especially when emotions are running high, but silence is often the most powerful response. When someone disrespects you, they may be expecting a reaction or response that will either validate their actions or escalate the situation. But in choosing to remain quiet, you not only disarm the negativity, but you also preserve your peace, protect your energy, and maintain control over your own narrative. It's easy to fall into the trap of feeling that we need to justify ourselves to others. When someone disrespects us, we may feel that we must explain ourselves, correct their misperceptions, or make them understand how we feel. But the truth is, you don't need to prove anything to anyone. Your worth is not determined by someone else's ability to understand or appreciate you. Your value is inherent, and when you stay quiet, you're not conceding anything. You are simply choosing not to waste your time on a battle that doesn't serve you. In these moments, silence is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of strength. It is a sign that you are confident in who you are and that you refuse to let someone else's negativity define you. Remaining silent doesn't mean you are ignoring the situation or letting it go unaddressed. It simply means that you are not allowing yourself to be drawn into unnecessary conflict. You are acknowledging the disrespect, but you are choosing to handle it differently, to rise above it. By choosing silence, you give yourself the space to process the emotions that arise from being disrespected. You allow yourself to respond with thoughtfulness rather than reacting in anger or frustration. Silence, in this sense, becomes a form of self-care because it provides you with the time to evaluate the situation with a clear mind, to decide whether it's worth addressing, and if so, how to do so in a way that maintains your dignity and integrity. When you stay quiet in the face of disrespect, you also avoid lowering yourself to the level of the person disrespecting you. There's a saying, don't wrestle with pigs. You both get dirty, but the pig likes it. Engaging with someone who disrespects you often means getting involved in a cycle of negativity that only leaves you feeling drained and frustrated. People who are quick to disrespect others are usually not interested in a productive conversation or mutual understanding. They are more concerned with making themselves feel superior or drawing attention to their own issues. By choosing silence, you refuse to play into that cycle. You retain your dignity and make a choice not to engage in behavior that doesn't serve your higher purpose. Another reason to stay quiet when disrespected is that it keeps your focus on what truly matters. The world is filled with distractions, negativity, criticism, and challenges that could easily pull you off course. The key to staying on track with your goals, your dreams, and your personal growth is to refuse to let these distractions take your attention away from your true purpose. Every moment you spend in a pointless argument or conflict is a moment you're taking away from the things that are truly important. When you stay quiet, you preserve your energy and your focus so you can continue to move forward with clarity and purpose. Silence also allows room for reflection. When you're caught up in the heat of the moment, it's hard to see the bigger picture. You might become emotionally reactive and feel that you need to defend yourself, even if the situation doesn't warrant it. But by staying quiet, you give yourself the time to assess what's really going on. Is this a battle worth fighting? Does this person's opinion even matter in the grand scheme of things? Does engaging in this confrontation align with who you want to be or where you want to go? By allowing yourself the space to reflect, you make a conscious decision about how to proceed, instead of reacting impulsively and potentially making the situation worse. Choosing silence also allows the other person to reflect on their own behavior. Sometimes people act disrespectfully out of their own insecurities or unresolved issues. They may not even realize the harm they are causing. When you don't engage in the negativity, it often leaves them with no one to argue with and no way to project their emotions onto you. This silence can sometimes give the other person the chance to reconsider their actions. People often find themselves looking for conflict because they are dealing with their own inner struggles, and your silence may be the wake-up call they need to look inward and address what's really bothering them. Moreover, silence gives you the opportunity to protect your peace, or peace is invaluable, and it's something that can easily be disrupted when we allow others' disrespect to affect us. We've all been in situations where someone has said or done something that rattles us. We might feel that if we don't stand up for ourselves in that moment, we'll lose control or be seen as weak. But the reality is that peace is not something that's easily attained when we are constantly reacting to every slight or insult. When you choose silence, you are consciously protecting the space of calm and tranquility that allows you to stay grounded and centered regardless of the chaos around you. By staying quiet, you also set an example for others. In a world where people are often quick to lash out, to argue, or to defend their positions, choosing silence strengthens character. It shows that you are not governed by your emotions or by the need to win every argument. You model for others the importance of taking the high road, of showing grace under pressure, and of choosing peace over conflict. Your actions speak louder than words, and by choosing silence, you encourage those around you to act with more thoughtfulness and self-control. Finally, silence is often the most dignified response you can give. Not every battle is worth fighting, and not every moment of disrespect requires a rebuttal. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing at all. Silence speaks volumes. It conveys that you are not afraid of confrontation, but that you are choosing to rise above it. You are showing that you are above the petty squabbles and that your peace, integrity, and self-worth cannot be shaken by the disrespect of others. In the end, silence allows you to protect your inner calm, preserve your dignity, and maintain your focus on what truly matters in life.